Howdy folks, Troy with V-Twins the V8s coming on today to give you a little video on how to do a repair on your classic car, motorcycle, hot rod, even your regular car. What we have here behind us is our 51 Ford project. It belongs to a good friend of mine. Had a little mishap in his garage and ended up with kind of quite a zinger here in the fender. And he's asked me to go ahead and fix it, so I figured I might as well do a little video and show you how it's done. So let's check it out. Okay, so now we've got 3 coats of KD3000 on here. It's dried. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of my trim black here, and I'm going to just dust a little bit of this on there. Seems pretty easy. That's going to be my guide coat, and I'm going to take a piece of 400 wet and dry on a sanding block, and I'm going to wet sand this out, and at that point should be all set. We'll take a look at what the surface looks like, see if we need to give it any attention. If not, we might be ready for paint at that point. So let's get at it. Wet down our surface. We'll take our 400 and block sand this area. Now I'm supporting this fender over here on this edge because it is a composite fender. You know, I don't know what you want to call it, sheet molded compound maybe, fiberglass, could be any of those, but you'll see in my guide coat here some marks. You'll see what I got there. These are all my low areas, and I'm going to continue to rinse this and get this sanded because I want all these to be gone. So I'll just continually block this out. The reason I use a block is to keep things nice and flat. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this whole thing out, and we'll see what we can come up with, and we'll see if we got to do some more repairs, more application of maybe a primer, or maybe a putty of some sort, or if we're good to go. So we'll see. Okay, so I got my surface all sanded, but as you can see, I've got all this black right here. This black is the actual surface of this, and I'd like to come back on this and prime it again, if nothing else, so that I have some good primer coverage between my surface and my base coat. So I'm going to lay probably 3 more coats of KD3000 on here. I'll let that flash, and then at that point we'll be ready to go ahead and sand it and get it ready for paint. So stay tuned. Okay folks, so we're back. Our second application of KD3000 has dried. I put a guide coat on it, and I'm just going to take some 400 wet, and I'm going to sand my area with just like a foam scuff pad. I'm not going to use a block because I want this to just have a nice, I don't want any finger marks in it from my hands, but I also am not trying to make this like super flat because it's not technically a flat surface. So I'm going to go ahead and sand this whole thing, and then at that point we'll be ready to sand the remainder of it for our clear coat and our blend, and I'll show you how we're going to do that in just a couple of minutes. So now I've got my entire repair area sanded with 400 grit wet, and I want to prepare the remainder of my panel for my blend. So the way that this works is I am going to sand the remainder of this panel with a gray scuff pad. Now I can just go ahead and do this dry like this, but for a much better effect I can use a scuffing gel. So basically the scuffing gel is made by Norton. I'll put a link to it below. And basically what happens is you wet your scuff pad, you add this gel. It's almost like toothpaste type of an abrasive. It's a liquid abrasive that mixes with the water and the scuff pad, and it provides a nice even scratch pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet my pad, and I'm going to wet this area, and I'm going to apply some scuffing gel, and I'll show you how it works. So first I want to take and get my scuff pad pretty wet. I want to get my surface pretty wet, and then I'm going to take a little bit of the scuffing gel and put it on my scuff pad. And I am just going to sand like I would usually sand. And this is going to provide enough of an abrasive surface for my clear to really adhere, but not so much as you'd be able to see this afterwards. So let me just sand this area a little bit, and I'll wipe this off so that you can see what it looks like now. So once this dries, you'll notice that it doesn't have any more shine to it. So this area is sanded and it's prepared for my blend. So I'm going to go ahead and use this same method on this entire fender. The whole idea with blending and clearing is you need to bring your clear to the edge of the panel. So I'm going to blend this in color, and then I'm going to clear my entire panel. So I need to sand and prep the remainder of my panel with the scuff pad and the scuffing gel. I'm going to go ahead and do that, then I'll come back on. Okay folks, so I'm back. I've scuffed my entire fender with the scuffing gel and the gray scuff pad. I've taken compressed air and I've blown any water or any dust out of all the nooks and crannies and crevices on this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wash this entire panel with a pre-cleaner, and then once I have this all washed down with this pre-cleaner, basically I am going to be ready to start applying some base coat. So I'm going to get this all wiped down. I tend to like to wash my panels at least twice with pre-cleaner just to be safe, make sure any contaminants are off of it so I don't have any paint problems. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll get my base coat ready, and we'll start blending in this bottom area. Okay, so we got our surface all washed and everything. I'm ready to go. I got my gun set up, I got my base coat, and this has already been washed, so I'm going to go ahead and use my tack rag. I'm going to tack the entire surface, and I'm going to fog this in. I'll use the helmet cam so you can see me do it, and let's have at it. Okay, So now I've got my area, my repair area is covered with base coat about to this area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the base coat that I have and I'm going to add some reducer to it and make it very thin. That will make it transparent. Then I'm going to come back out and I'm going to extend my color out, and I'm going to fade it off over here and over here, and then I'll probably maybe do another coat. I'm going to be really careful not to get above this shadow line and just blend this particular area here. It's going to fade off around the corner and it's going to fade off before I get to this line, and then once I get done with that, then I'll clear it and this will all blend in. So I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, now my base is complete. I'm all blended out. I'm going to tack this off, mix up some clear, and I'm going to put 2 to 3 coats of clear on this, and we're going to be done. I will wear the helmet cam so you can see me apply the clear, and let's get to it. Well, all right, folks, so I'm back, and as you can see, our fender is all repaired. I'll probably run a little bit of sandpaper over this, maybe something light like 2000, just to knock a few of the nibs off of it, run a buffer over it, and we'll be good to go. Okay, so that sums up our entire repair of the panel. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give me a like, and if you would, subscribe if you like it. Check my links down below for all of the materials and tools that I use to do this job. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments. I will respond to you. And thank you very much for watching, and good luck on your project.